Hi there! Welcome to the TLDT version of the Lucky-Hasura TLDR guide. I'm going to give a high-level walkthrough of that guide so that you can see the final result of this project without having to do any typing. The first thing you can see here in the terminal is that we're in a parent directory called LHD-test, and we have available a Lucky project called foobar and the Lucky-Hasura-Docker repo. After some project-specific variable replacement, we'll just need to let Hasura know about the secret key base that Lucky uses to sign JWTs by finding it in the server config and replacing the keyword dev secret key base in 3 places in the project. With those variables replaced, we can now start up our development environment for the first time. Once we see this message from Lucky, we can hit Lucky routes on port 5000 and see the Hasura console on port 9695. The next thing the guide has us do is seed the database and add a Hasura test to the Lucky test suite. This involves us adding a little code to Lucky and adding a user role to Hasura. Please remember that this is just a demonstration. I do not recommend actually using such a simple JWT or simple rule for determining who has the Hasura admin role. Once that's done, we can run the test script, which will bring up separate test containers and drop you into the Lucky container shell. For the rest of this video, we'll look over the steps to go from here to production. The first step, of course, is to provision a server somewhere, but this video will skip that and some important security notes for the sake of a quick demo. The next step is to generate 2 deploy tokens on GitLab. The first one is for our CI runner. The second will store in production. Since the deploy job SSHs into our production server with a login shell, we can just export these from .profile. We'll also need to generate some passwords and secrets as described in the guide, as well as starting Docker Swarm. Once that's done, we'll add a version table to our database so that Docker Swarm can define a healthy container as one that responds to requests and has a good connection to the database. The final step before our first push is to generate an SSH key that GitLab and production will share. With that all pushed, we can sit back and watch the first build. It'll be the slowest since future builds take advantage of Docker layer caching. With successful completion of the build and tag stages, we're ready to test. Now that that has succeeded, we just need to pull down the repo server side and kick off a deploy-only pipeline. If the deployment was successful, we'll see all the Docker services up, the Lucky API responding, and can even see our traffic dashboard. The final thing to show off is an easy integration with a third-party Docker Swarm monitoring toolkit called SwarmProm. After adding one more environment variable, and optionally a couple related to Slack, we can simply call Docker stack deploy, wait for the services to come online, and then take a look at the dashboard provided by Grafana. Now you have a full-fledged production-ready backend for talking to your Postgres database. You can arbitrarily scale up and down the number of nodes and replicas thanks to Docker Swarm. Authentication, migrations, and other business logic is handled by Lucky, while Hasura provides a GraphQL endpoint for flexible front-end queries.